You can watch us too if you would like. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And if you're an Ole Miss fan, you are still riding high on their basketball win over Iowa that sent them into the Sweet 16, or which is sending them into the Sweet 16, should I say. And that's coming up tomorrow in Atlanta, but maybe not as much as our guest. Sam Hutchens, he's the Clarion Ledger beat reporter covering Ole Miss athletics, got an opportunity to sit next to his twin brother, Ben, who covers Iowa State, and battle it out. So welcome, Sam.
Hello, I appreciate you having me on. You're catching me at a good time. I'm driving to Atlanta right now.
I know, I'm probably super excited. So, it's one thing to have a house divided. It's another thing to have a house divided and it comes to work, and work brings you together on the court for the very game, and one's going to walk away, a little happier than the other. So take us back to the last game. Kind of set the stage for us. When did you and Ben find out? I guess you found out when y'all were going to play, but what was it like when y'all found out y'all would end up covering the game together?
Sure, yeah. It all starts, and some of the listeners know this, some of them probably don't. It all starts on Selection Sunday, which is when they unveil the bracket. And the whole tournament's a huge deal about matchups and suspense, so people love tuning into the Selection Sunday show just to see where everyone will play. And Ben, my twin brother, we'd been talking, of course, and we kind of thought, maybe there's a chance Iowa State earns a 3 seed and Ole Miss earns a 6 seed, and we thought that was a way, where they could at least theoretically play one another. But for that to materialize, and then for both teams to get sent to Milwaukee, and both teams to win their first round matchup, so much had to go right and go our way for that to happen. So I'm feeling very blessed that it did. That was a really cool week.
So I don't know what kind of brothers you are that are into sports, but where I come from, there's a lot of trash talking. So from the moment that you guys knew that Iowa and Ole Miss were going to go head-to-head on the court, was there just a lot of fun banter back and forth, just anticipating the game?
Of course, yeah. And with the media, of course, it's a little different. We both come from Oklahoma and recently got these jobs. So being media members, we're not quite fans of the teams we cover, but there's very much that level of the team so well, and you're very excited to see how that matchup would play out. Because of course, if I was at home and on TV, the Iowa State Cyclones are playing, I'd watch because Ben was there, and Ben would do the same for me. So both of us knew each other's teams very well, and Iowa State was the favorite. Iowa State had a really good year this year, and they dominated their first round team, but the Rebels got the win. So, one twin is getting to go to Atlanta, and the other twin is back home covering spring football right now.
Well, we're excited, Sam, that it's you headed to Atlanta for Ole Miss. During the game, though, was it just an extra level of excitement having over at SuperTalk TV? We've got the picture of you guys sitting there together covering the game. Did it just make it feel a little bit different in terms of work that day?
Absolutely, and I appreciate. I'm still not sure who did it, but someone seated Ben and I together. Someone from CBS or someone who was running the telecast heard about it, because Ben and I weren't seated together for the first game, so we weren't actually expecting to be seated together. But when the media seat posting got announced for the next game, we thought, well, look at that, the two of us are together. So. That was such a fun time, and we were glad we were seated together because we were talking the whole game anyway, about just what it was like, and the random things that I'm seeing in the game or been seeing in the game. So it was quite a thrill to be seated right next to each other, and I think our parents really appreciated it because it made us sending a picture back home easier.
I bet they did, and probably your mom was like, "Man, go team! I don't know which one I want to win, but it'd be so hard to to pull for one son over the other." Although I recognize maybe you're not deep-seated fans in the same way, but you both have a deep-seated love of sports. Obviously, you both grew up to be reporters for college athletics. Was that always the plan for you guys, or did you kind of just both find your way into that profession?
Yeah, we both always knew that we wanted to work in sports, and that was a huge passion of ours growing up. And then when we went to college at Oklahoma State, we were in all the same classes and just decided to start writing for the school paper together because a friend had pulled us in and said, hey, you should try this. And Ben and I both really enjoyed that. And, now we're looking up 5 years later, and we haven't really branched out or anything. We're still doing the exact same thing as each other. So I know it may sound astounding to some people that two brothers are doing the exact same job now in 11 hours away from each other. But for us, it was always just kind of natural to, hey, if I like this thing, I'm sure Ben really likes it too.
So you're not from Mississippi. So obviously you got the job, though, moving here and covering Ole Miss. Were you surprised how enthusiastic our fans are for our sports here?
The saying in the SEC, it's an official saying, it's branded, is it just means more. And so I was excited coming from Big 12 country, another conference that I have a lot of experience in, to see what the SEC is like. And it's been so cool getting to see Vaught Hemingway Stadium packed out, of course, and the Grove at full force. So it's been so cool living in Oxford, in such an excited college sports town where all the sports are humming right now. But also getting to go on the road and see a football game at LSU, and it's a night game that went into overtime, and how crazy that was. They're getting to go at Florida. So it has been really cool getting to see a new town and a new conference, and I've certainly been impressed.
So I hate to even ask this, Sam, but what's your childhood team? Like who do you still wear the colors for when you're not at work?
Well, it's
are you allowed to say?
Texas Rangers, yeah, and they mentioned this on the TV broadcast. I think Ben and I grew up listening to the Texas Rangers on the radio, so that's a team that we still very much pull for, and we're from DFW originally, so I like a lot of the Dallas and the Oklahoma City teams professionally, like the Dallas Cowboys and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, you're allowed to have your own likes, but, this weekend will all be about Ole Miss there in Atlanta, so you're headed there now. What's the buzz like? Is all of Oxford headed to Atlanta for this game? I feel like everybody's very excited about it.
Yeah, it's the first Sweet 16 appearance for the Rebels since I was born, just by a few months, but the last one came early in 2001, and I was born later that year. So people are excited, people are juiced up, and it's another blue blood. The Rebels beat North Carolina in the first game of the tournament, which is, even though the Tar Heels weren't seeded spectacularly, it's always important when you can to beat a blue blood. And now the Rebels are going to face Michigan State, who's a number 2 seed that's been really good all year.
So I know as a reporter, and a writer too, you have to wait to see how it unfolds before the story that you can write. Is that part of the excitement about what you do? You can't really have the topics covered for you. It's gonna be basketball there in Sweet 16, but on the fly, are you taking notes? Or are you just trying to figure it all out as the thing unfolds?
Absolutely, and that's the fun thing about March Madness, is it truly is madness. In terms of, I was sitting there on Selection Sunday not knowing if I'd be headed to Milwaukee or Seattle or up there with my identical twins. So for the matchups to all happen, and you can get knocked out at any time, and the storytelling aspect, I sometimes in these past games in Milwaukee, I wasn't quite sure what I was writing until I went to the locker room. And I've always gotten advice that says, hey, for the huge games, everyone in Oxford is already watching the games. So try to tell a story that no one can see. So in March Madness, the reporters get some locker room access. So I've had fun getting to tell unique stories from the locker room, where you can go up to the players who just made the game-winning shot, or on the other hand, maybe a play that loses the game or something, and tell those stories that way.
Well, I know it's going to be exciting next couple of days for you guys there in Atlanta. Even our own Caleb is headed that way, I think, either tomorrow or today as well. And so, of course, we'll all be watching Friday. Sadly, your brother won't be there, but you'll be there. If we want to catch your work or your writing, Sam, how do we find you?
Sure, I appreciate that. My email is at the bottom of every story I write on the Clarion Ledger website. So if folks want to email me, the email at the bottom is the one I check every day, and I think it has where I post all my work on social media is on Twitter/X. So both of those links are down there at the bottom of every story I write on the Clarion Ledger, so folks can be in contact with me down there.
Well, safe travels, Sam. We appreciate your time here on Good Things, and looking for a good headline coming out of Atlanta, I guess, after what time does it kick off, or tip off, I think is the right word. So I'm not the sports person, Sam, but tip off tomorrow.
That's right. It's scheduled for 6:09 p.m., but it's a little sketchy because those games, when it's a tournament, games can get moved around a little bit based on what's happening before or after, but probably just a little after 6 p.m.
All righty. Well, enjoy your time, Sam, and I appreciate it here on Good Things.
Thank you.
All righty. You guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.